I'm going to be taking a little bit of a different direction with some of my glitch art gear moving forward, and this box represents the future of that. You see, a lot of my glitch art gear tends to look like stuff like this, which is circuit bent or hand modified existing video gear that is then tweaked and knobs and faders are added to it to make it do things that it wasn't supposed to do. This, I believe, was a standard just video mixer that you'd switch between with some faders that the good people, or good person, I guess, over at BPMC has circuit bent. This is the original Video Nasty. So it's got a crazy custom paint job that honestly attracts cat hair a little too much, but really kind of out there. And then the rest of my gear looks more like this, which instead of being circuit gear or circuit bent vintage gear, it's just something kind of designed from scratch to be a glitch art machine. And this Chroma Corruptor we'll talk about in future videos, but is one of the best kind of budget glitch art gear things that you could buy. It's a beast. But things are moving in a different direction. The people over at BPMC who made the Video Nasty, among other, glitch art tools, they've run out of vintage electronics to hoard and scalp and circuit bend and turn into cool stuff. And they've had a lot of trouble sourcing things. And so it was time to start moving towards that original design territory. And with that, I have picked up one of their latest releases, which is this one right here, the Fluxus Duo. It is an analog glitch effects processor, of course. 2 composite inputs, 1 output, has some CV inputs, so you can do some crazy stuff with some like synth or oscilloscope hookups. So many knobs, an A to B mix, as well as little input controls. But this is a very different form factor. This is a eurorack module, like for synth stuff. I have a little mini synthesizer unit that is pre-contained that I've been slowly learning and messing around with, but I've never had proper synth gear before. It's been something on my wish list, but I've never gotten there. I guess today's the day. Mine came with a little power cord. So for this, I picked up this from Perfect Circuits. It is the Tip Top Audio. It is basically a little mini Moog rack that fits into a 19-inch standard like audio rack if you wanted to, but it's also freestanding. So I have one of those like 10U freestanding desk racks that up in my attic that I used to use for my audio gear, that if I end up expanding this, I can put this into. But shouts out to them. They include a sticker, which I always appreciate. I am a sticker hoarder. And then 2 of my favorite kinds of candy, Twizzlers and Skittles. I feel like it's perfectly catered towards me. Anyway, in the box we have a lot of components. What this one stands out the most for is that it is actually a powered eurorack box that comes with all the power supply stuff, while still being reasonably affordable. And like I said, it's both freestanding and 19-inch rack compatible, which is pretty nice. You get a lot of flexibility in what you can do. Here is the wall wart part of the power supply. We've got some angle brackets, and then this is the power supply, which I believe can power 2 units at once. So this is only 1 row of modules. This is the 80 HP size. I have to admit, being a complete novice with, Eurorack gear, I don't actually entirely understand. I'm used to server rack, audio rack measurements in the U's, so I don't entirely know what exactly that means yet. This was recommended by some awesome people over on my Discord server. We have a little mini glitch art community of sorts, of a couple of us in there that talk about this stuff. And I appear to have been like the rabbit hole entry for some of them for certain pieces of gear, and then they have turned around and done me the favor of being in a bad influence of getting me into Eurorack gear. So my wallet is not super grateful. Whoa! These modules are fascinating though. Wow, that just grabbed the magnet off my Video Nasty. I know this lighting is like super dramatic. It won't always be like this in this area. All right, so we have our 2 top and bottom rails we will be working with, and they will connect to these angle pieces to set up. This is looking to be very few pieces. I was kind of intimidated at first. Most of the rack stuff that I buy for like I've bought some, under desk 1U and 4U, 19-inch racks, and they always just come as like 1 solid piece of metal. So I was kind of intimidated by this being something you assemble, but nah. There's literally 4 pieces and you're done, which is very exciting. So these would be the rack gears to mount into the 19-inch rack, and otherwise it is going to sit at an angle like this. So fairly straightforward. 4 Phillips head screws. Don't even have a manual. They figure you're not an idiot. Let's grab a screwdriver. Yep, just mounts into the side. Pick up one of these. Oh, these are not magnetic screws. What? What kind of plastic screw you sending me here? I'll just fast forward through the installation. It's screwing 4 screws in, not exactly, you know, compelling content. I guess I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't fully explain it. The back half of this little rack sled just has a slight hole indentation that's threaded that the screw goes into. Fairly clever little simple design, honestly. I installed this top one upside down. You can tell because these 2 ledges that go around the screw holes are offset, and the top one would be the outer side that holds the... Basically, this is supposed to sit between these 2, and this one has that lip on the underside, so. I know a lot of people think it's weird to point out such obvious stuff, but I assume that if you're watching a video on this kind of thing, you're not the audio engineer for 15 years, snob, that's here to leave a nasty comment, that you're someone actually trying to learn something. All right, we have our rack assembled. Now all we have to do is install our stuff. So this, again, is the power supply, takes DC power in the front, basic on-off switch, and then it has these 16-pin power headers that run the bottom here. Now this is actually a fair amount that would allow me, like I said, to power at least a good amount of modules here in this particular rack. But depending on how big your units are, like this is 1 unit that only uses 1 power plug. If you got a couple of these, then these extra headers could be used to power a whole second row. So you could get something cheaper than this that doesn't come with a power supply and power it off this first power supply, which I really dig. The only thing I did not consider is I don't have this size of screw, so I won't actually be able to install with screws our fluxus here. I'll have to order some eurorack screws. Didn't think about it. I have never-ending supply of screws in my workshop, so I might have something that fits, but you know. I like using the correct screws for things when I can. Looks like we installed this a little tight here. Things aren't wanting to sit in the lips, but we can just loosen that up. Not a big deal. Just give that a little wiggle room. Hit that right in there and tighten it up. And then my Fluxus Duo came with a 10-pin to 16-pin power adapter. Not everyone's did, apparently. So keep that in mind. You may need that for some of your specific gear. There's a lot of different things out there. I'm not gonna assume you have the exact unit I have. I just wanted to demo what the future setup will look like, because I now get to take this again. It's freestanding like this, so I don't need to put it in a rack yet. I can now take this, set it on the side of my desk here, and have easy access to the knobs and everything. And like I said, when I'm ready, when I have filled this up and I'm ready for a second row, I have a little 10U, I'll have a link to it in the description, freestanding desk rack that I can then just start stacking these, which is pretty nice. Very tactile power switch over here, basic wall wart power supply. I'll need an extension for it. I do wish I could run this out the back. It says it does get hot too, by the way. I do wish I could run this out the back instead of having it run off the front, but it's not a big deal. But yeah, so then I'll have some demos of how this looks. I just wanted to showcase it. I want to get the conversation going about glitch art gear more in the future. This is clearly not entirely straight as it doesn't sit still, but we'll tighten it up. Yeah. Let me know what kind of questions you have or what you'd like to see videos on regarding glitch art and my whole analog CRT wall setup going in the comment section down below. And remember to be kind, rewind.